Good afternoon, everyone. Before we commence, may I request everyone to settle down and switch the phones to silent. Please rise for the national anthem. I request the photographers to refrain from clicking pictures during the national anthem.
गणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
It's a privilege to welcome you today to an empowering session on understanding your legal rights to property, led by the esteemed Honourable Justice E.V. Venugopal from the High Court. On behalf of Flow Hyderabad Chairperson Pratibha Kunda and her committee, I, Rashi Agarwal, Executive Secretary of Flow Hyderabad, extend a very warm welcome to our speakers, Flow and Flow members. In Gujarat, after the passing of her husband, Bhanu Ben Bharat Singh found her farmland taken over by her brother-in-law, leaving her and her children at the risk of losing their only livelihood. However, because she was aware of her legal entitlements, she approached a village paralegal, gathered the right documents, and successfully reclaimed ownership of her land. With her legal rights secured, she not only gained stability for her family, but also accessed government schemes to invest in farming equipment, transforming her prospects entirely. Her story shows that when women know and assert their property rights, it safeguards their family's future and empowers them to build stronger, more independent lives. So many of us here are unaware of what we have and own, and this session will throw some light on this important topic. I request Flow Chairperson Ms. Pratibha Kunda, Flow Past Chair Ms. Nidhi Swaroop, Justice Shri Venugopal, IPS Ms. Charu Sinha, to please step forward for the lamp lighting.
Shubham karoti kalyanam arogyam dhana sampada shatru buddhi vinashaya deepajyoti namostute. Shubham karoti kalyanam आरोग्यम धन संपदा शत्रु बुद्धि विनाशाय दीपज्योति नमोस्तुते. शुभं करोति कल्याणं आरोग्यं धन संपदा शत्रु बुद्धि विनाशाय दीपज्योति नमोस्तुते. शुभं करोति कल्याणं आरोग्यं धन संपदा.
I request the Flow Core Committee to please step forward for a picture, followed by the Executive Committee. I now invite Chairperson to deliver her welcome address.
Good afternoon, everyone. Honourable Justice Sri E.V. Venugopal Garu and Ms. Charu Sinha, a very warm welcome to both of you. It's our privilege to have you with us today. And now, for today's session, awareness of our legal rights is the first step towards true empowerment. It's wonderful to see all of you here today, eager, curious, and ready to dive into a subject that's often seen as complex, yet is absolutely central to our lives, the law. At Flow Hyderabad, We believe the awareness of our legal rights is one of the strongest tools for empowerment. Because whether it is about inheritance, property, family, or business, understanding the law gives us clarity, confidence, and the power to protect what matters most. And let's be honest, many of us have faced moments where the law feels like a maze. A casual discussion at the dinner table about wills, a property document that suddenly throws up unexpected terms, or even a WhatsApp forward that makes us pause and wonder, is this true, really true? These questions don't just live in courtrooms, they touch our daily lives in very real ways. In fact, the numbers tell their own story. Property and family conflicts make up nearly two-thirds of all civil litigations in India, and more than 20% of the country's 53 million pending court cases are tied up to land or property disputes. I think Sir will tell us better on this. And when it comes to women, the gap is even starker. Despite progressive reforms, only about 14% of landowners in India are women, and they hold just 11% of agricultural land. These realities highlight why today's dialogue is so important, because legal clarity isn't just about laws on paper, it's about knowing and understanding our rights and empowering families. These realities highlight why today's dialogue is so important, because it's about knowing and exercising our rights. When we understand our rights, we gain the power to protect our interests, to make informed choices, and to stand firm in the face of uncertainty. Knowledge is truly power. It can be the difference between vulnerability and empowerment, between confusion and clarity, between silence and a voice. Before I conclude, I have a couple of exciting announcements for all our members. First, block your dates for October 14th. We are bringing you a health conclave with a dynamic and powerful panel that promises to engage and enlighten us all. Second, our much awaited flow retreat to Coorg is just around the corner from October 29th to November 1st. This is the final call to register for what promises to be a truly rejuvenating experience. 4 days of networking, bonding, and unwinding in the lush coffee estates and misty hills of Coorg. And if you've been thinking about it, now it's time to say yes. Last few spots left. And lastly, as part of our national initiative, our chapter brings you Kavach for confidential legal support, empowering every member to take charge of their safety and well-being. Simply scan the QR code at the entrance of all our events. It's placed at the entrance, if you can see. You'll be directly connected to a dedicated team that will handle your concerns with utmost confidentiality. And now, before we begin, we have a very important announcement. I would like to invite Ms. Charu Sinha, the Additional Director General of Police from CID and Head of Women's Safety in Telangana State, who is here with us today to share an important announcement about the ICC and the Women's Safety Help Desk, an initiative that will go a long way in strengthening safety and support mechanisms for women. Thank you for being with us, ma'am, today. Can I please welcome you to come onto the stage, please?
So good afternoon, everybody. And so after addressing audiences continuously in khaki, it's really nice to see so many colors here today. And it's also nice to see so many women here today. So what I'm going to do today is share with you about what the POSH Act is all about, why we need to implement it in our organizations, and I have shared about 10 videos with all of you. These videos talk about the most subtle aspects, the finer nuances about POSH. Very often, women are very confused on whether to complain or not to complain, whether a particular seemingly innocuous remark amounts to sexual harassment or not, whether certain kinds of conduct, behavior, misbehavior amounts to sexual harassment or not. So first, I'll quickly run you through certain provisions, and then whenever you're free, you can take a look at the videos. Yeah. So a quick introduction to the POSH Act. The full form, as you know, is the prevention of sexual harassment at workplace. The objective is to ensure a safe and equitable, a respectful workplace for women and protect their rights for a safe and dignified work environment. What are the focus areas? Prevention, protection, and redressal mechanisms. What are the key provisions? What constitutes sexual harassment? Many of us don't know what constitutes sexual harassment. So one is unwelcome physical contact, sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, sexually colored remarks, showing pornography, or any other physical, verbal, or non-verbal conduct of a sexual nature. Now, for any organization which has more than 10 employees, it is mandatory to have an internal complaints committee. And for any organization which has less than 10 employees, usually there is a local district committee to where they can escalate the matter. Now, for internal complaint committees, you have to have a minimum of 4 members. The senior most woman will be the chairperson, and there will be an external expert. Usually we take in our forces, we take an external member from an NGO who is a POSH expert. What are the powers of the internal committees? To conduct an inquiry, ensure confidentiality about the inquiry, about the victim, about what's happening in the inquiry, and also to prevent retaliation. In fact, to share with you, heading different internal complaint committees across certain paramilitary forces. For the last 7 years, I've been associated with a couple of paramilitary forces. I've worked outside Telangana. Heading these committees, whenever we would ensure that a particular senior officer is punished for his misconduct, we would be at the backlash, receiving end of severe backlashes across the force, because many of the men would say that the complaint committee is deliberately targeting an officer. In fact, recently, from a paramilitary force from which I have just returned, we've got a senior DIG dismissed from service. And reports have been submitted against 2 more DIGs who are also going to be dismissed from service. So then what happens? There are many people who believe that these are common things which happen in the forces. Why should a senior officer be punished for it? Some people say, others are also doing it, aap unko kyun nahi pakadte ho? Some people will say, but it was a quid pro quo. It was consensual. The girl also agreed. But what we need to understand is that whatever is consensual happens between 2 individuals of the same rank or same level. If, let us say, a DIG is having an affair with a constable, where there are 6-7 ranks in between, and she's very, very junior and too afraid to speak up, this power differential clearly indicates that this is exploitation. It's sexual exploitation. This is something which all of us need to understand. So whenever we would come across this defense argument that it was quid pro quo, as a chairperson of the committee, this was always the stand that we took. Now, what is the role of the employer? All of you who might be heading different organizations, one is that you have to ensure that your internal complaint committees are empowered, they are well trained, and they are fully functional. It should not happen that instead of having 4 members in a committee, we have only 1 member in the committee who really can't do anything. We need to provide resources to the committee. We need to ensure the safety of the committee members from retaliation from the perpetrators. And the chairperson plays a very important role. So the chairperson can't be somebody who only knows how to toe the line. The chairperson has to be somebody who has the guts to speak up. Then we need to ensure that the external member who is taken as an expert from an NGO is really a POSH expert. I've seen one committee in which I had to ask for a replacement because the lady, though she was elderly and from a very good NGO, but she was half deaf. So she couldn't even hear what we were saying on the VC, and she could never give any input whatsoever. And she had been deliberately brought in. You understand what I'm saying? So I had to get her changed and bring in a more competent POSH consultant. Now, several hurdles come across. For example, the person who is perpetrated that act might go to court. and the internal complaint committee just doesn't know what to do. So the employer or the organization there at that point of time has to help the internal complaint committee to navigate through these kind of situations. There are certain timelines given that this is the time period in which you need to complete the inquiry, and the organization needs to help the internal complaints committee to ensure that they complete the inquiry in time. Very often the accused members, they don't turn up for the hearings. They will keep on postponing, saying, I'm sick, or my mother is sick, or my sister is sick, and therefore I can't come for the hearing, etc., etc. So the organization, the organizer, the employer has to ensure that the accused attends the hearings in time. And the internal committee is an alternate mechanism of justice. It's a quasi-judicial body, and it's not bound by rigid legal procedures. So just to give you a quick example, when COVID struck, we had the habit in the paramilitary forces that if I am posted in Kashmir and the other members of the committee or the delinquent is posted in Tamil Nadu, they had to all take a flight and come to where I am posted so that all of them can meet physically. But COVID changed it. We suddenly started doing everything on a VC. And it was much more easier and much more cost effective. But after COVID, the perpetrators started insisting that the complainant has to be in the same room as I am because I need to cross-examine her, I need to question her, I need to ask her a lot of things. And we found that the perpetrators were always shouting at the complainant. And she would become so scared because it's a senior officer shouting at a junior constable. And she would get so scared that she would clam shut. So we had to find a way out. And then we decided that let the girl be given a choice, whether she wants to attend in person or on a VC. All the girls unanimously, 100% said, we don't want to sit in the same room as the accused because we are trembling, we are shivering, we are breaking down, crying. And so we would rather attend on VC. So that became a set practice, even after COVID was over, that we made things a little more comfortable for the complainants to face the perpetrator. Now, just to quickly tell you that the Supreme Court guidelines, even today morning, we had a reminder that constitution of a posh IC committee is mandatory in every organization with more than 10 employees. So if you don't have this in your organizations, please insist on it. And once it is constituted, this data has to be uploaded in the She-Box portal of the Women and Child Development Department website. Now, the emphasis of the Supreme Court guidelines is on the formation of ICs and uploading details on She-Box, as I said, completion of the inquiry in time, confidentiality, ensure that there's no retaliation, and it also calls for a male sensitization and robust systems in place. So I just want to tell you that the POSH Act is a very strong act meant to protect women from sexual harassment, to ensure gender justice and safety. And they have strengthened, the Supreme Court directives have strengthened this enforcement. The organizations must ensure this. Now, I just have 3 more points to tell you. How do we create a safe environment for women? An environment in which they actually have the guts to speak up, or rather a safe space is created for them to speak up. Aajkal, eve teasing, groping in buses, and I was just mentioning to the other members that even flashing, etc., has become so normal in buses and public transport primarily, that women no longer go to a police station to complain about it. So anyway, next week we are launching an initiative and all of you will come to know shortly about it. And so this is a major concern because we are normalizing bad behavior, and it is something, it's high time we need to draw the line and tell the men that this behavior is not acceptable anymore and you're going to be hauled up for it. Similarly, at workplace, a lot of sexist remarks, a lot of infrared digs, all go, I won't say unnoticed, but we have been taught to ignore them. Pardon? Swept aside. And we have been taught to ignore them. Choti si baat hai. Matlab, ignore it and aage badho. Is choti baat pe hangama kya karna? Why do you want to create a big fuss about it? So the videos I've shared, I would request all of you to watch that, because that shows you the nuances of sexual harassment at workplace. And there's a concept called testing waters. When the men start these remarks, how they test the waters first to see how you react, and when you react You laugh at it, you giggle at it, then they take one step further. And then there's a third step and a fourth step. And by the time you realize that you should have said, drawn your boundaries very clearly, it's very late and very embarrassing for you. So how do you learn to do that? How do you learn? In fact, all my constables recently, we had a one-day workshop on POSH, and my constables kept asking me the same thing, ma'am, how do we draw the line? So we say that the moment all of us have that gut feeling of feeling uncomfortable, and the moment that feeling sets in, just say, I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable with this remark, let's not talk like this, and I do not appreciate what you are saying. And that's the first way that you set your boundary. So here I've given a few points on how to create a safe environment at workplace. We all talk about the men's club. It's high time that we all have women's club in our respective organizations. And you have to promote awareness about what is testing the waters, what is cornering, what are sexual jokes, what are suggestive looks, what is grooming, and what does an enabler do in POSH Act, and what is a pacifier. These are all terms which we need to understand very, very clearly, and you will find that sometimes the person is not working alone. There's somebody else. In fact, the DIG whom we got dismissed, he had a set of 8 to 10 people under him who would bring the girls to him. So they would kind of enable the sexual harassment that, sir likes you very much, why don't you just come and talk to him, things like that. And then when the girls would cry after getting exploited, there would be a set of pacifiers. Jo ho gaya, so ho gaya. And he's such a senior officer, he's happy with you. And look, you've got a chance to go to Spain to so-and-so event, so why bother about it? So they pacify the situation. And this is how most of the perpetrators work. And we need to understand this and be aware about it. Similar points, what are the different things that we can do? Establishing women's clubs, you can have email IDs. Yes, complaint box helps a lot because women have the habit of dropping in complaints, and there are certain areas here we have established complaint boxes, and on an average we get almost 15 complaints a day. So that itself gives an idea. The internal complaint committee has to touch base with all the women employees at least once a month. The IC has to be, the internal committee has to be made more visible. Posters about the internal complaint committee members, their contact numbers, SOPs on the POSH Act, posters on the POSH Act, all this have to be displayed very prominently. Similar things, as I said, the SheBox portal, WhatsApp groups, complaint boxes, toll-free number, mail IDs, etc., all this can be made available. Now, this is an important part, which I'm sure all of you will agree with me. How do we ensure accountability amongst the male colleagues? So one is, the male colleagues have to be taught about appropriate workplace behavior, sexism, sexist language, gender stereotypes, and this whole range, this whole gamut of issues. And transgressions, if any, have to be dealt with firmly. Complaints from women cannot be taken frivolously, and we clearly have to define do's and don'ts at workplace. And if we have male colleagues who are sensitive, we can actually allow them to lead this. We can allow them to champion the cause for women, and if their own male colleagues are passing sexist remarks against a female colleague, it's high time they spoke up and said, no, you can't talk like that. Because they all seem to enjoy getting together and talking about these things. So education for men on gender-sensitive behavior has to be started in curated conversations. And then how do you promote equal opportunities for growth and leadership for women? Because the more number of women leaders at the top, that really makes a difference. Challenges on the ground, MSMEs, which I was just mentioning. Earlier, we are not able to reach out to them, and we would really appreciate it if this forum could help us to reach out to them and to create more awareness. As I said, paramilitary sectors and the police force, also we have the same issue about awareness, and we are taking it up very strongly and aggressively. Lack of knowledge of what an internal complaints committee is and how the structure should be like is also an issue, and the fear of backlash is also an issue. So finally, I will conclude by saying that we need regular capacity building of the internal complaints committee, protect the members from interference as well as backlash. Each organization has to say that for them, sexual harassment is zero tolerance, basically. And finally, respectful conduct and teaching men how to behave properly. I guess that is the bottom line, and we all need to get there. Thank you so much. And you'll also be happy to know that we are starting a help desk, a posh help desk, which will be launched shortly, where we will be doing this in the Women's Safety Wing. So any woman can contact the help desk either by phone, she can walk in there, through email ID or whatever she's comfortable with, and we will be able to guide her on even writing a complaint, drafting a complaint, telling her what to do. And if she feels that the internal complaint committee is not working in an organization, we will reach out to the concerned corporate to talk to them about this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this important piece of information. Really opened our eyes. May I request the chairperson to please felicitate Ms. Charu Sinha? May I request Justice Shri Venugopal to join our chairperson on the dais and for the chairperson to felicitate him. I invite Empowerment Head Radhika Agarwal to tell you more about him.
Good evening, everyone. Shri Enugula Venkata Venugopalji, Honourable Justice, hails from Karimnagar. He began his legal career practicing in various branches of law in Karimnagar and later at the erstwhile High Court of Andhra Pradesh. He went on to work as a junior colleague of the legendary Shri Ram Jethmalani, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court of India, assisting him for several years in high-profile criminal and constitutional cases before the Supreme Court and various high courts across the country. Shri Venugopalji has also practiced extensively before the erstwhile High Court of Andhra Pradesh, where he served as Central Government Standing Counsel from 2007 to 2013, handling writ petitions and writ appeals across multiple areas of law. He was also appointed as Railways Counsel before the same High Court. Post-purification, he has continued to practice before the High Court of Telangana, handling diverse branches of law. In recognition of his distinguished careers and contribution to the legal profession, he was designated as Senior Advocate by the Honourable High Court of Telangana in 2021, elevated as a judge of the High Court for the State of Telangana at Hyderabad and sworn in on 16th August 2022. With over 28 years of rich legal practice, Shri Venugopalji has acquired deep expertise in criminal law, civil law, commercial law, constitutional law, and public and private international law. I now hand over the session to our chairperson, Ms. Pratibha Kunda, to take it forward with Justice Shri Venugopalji.
Hello, Andy. A very warm welcome to us, to Ficky Flow, Hyderabad. It's indeed our privilege to have you with us today, and I'm very confident it's going to be a very interesting session where we learn a lot today. Now, shall we start? Yeah. So can you share with us, sir, what is this Hindu Succession Act, especially the 2005 amendment, says about daughters' rights in ancestral property? As per the 2005 amendment, daughters and sons have equal right in ancestral property, and are there any conditions or exceptions that apply in this?
I'm happy that we are straight coming to the point. I know women are very powerful, and handling so many women who are powerful, much powerful in the society, who are on their legs, and thankfully they are on their legs and contributing a lot for the economy of the country as well as protecting their own interest. And Madam, before I start, if you permit, I've known her so closely because our ideological thoughts match, where she's doing so much of contribution to the society by imparting education and the skills to the needy people in Surendrapuri. And from there, I became one of the admirer of her for doing so much of contribution to the society. Let us all together appreciate for her contribution towards the society first.
Thank you, sir.
And let me thank you all for having me the opportunity to be with you all this afternoon. The FICCI Ladies Organization, which is spread over throughout the country. Now, in understanding the law, where you want to stand up on your own, on your legs, and see that your rights are being protected. That apart, I must tell you that you are not only protecting your rights, but you are protecting the society by and large. And you are the major contributors to the Indian economy. And we are the fifth largest economy in the world today. And thankfully, your contribution is much more and much. And it is seriously laudable. Instead of you being sitting over there creating an employment to the other employees of your organizations, perhaps your respective organization, and you are coming forward in this kind of session this afternoon and making me a part of that, I'm highly privileged. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Now, Madam, firstly, I don't know, so many questions have been given to me, but what I have to do, I really don't know. But coming to the question what you have posed, all these are falling out of the right, constitutional right given to everybody from Article 300, capital A. Article 300, capital A is a constitutional right which has been flown out of the amendment to the Constitution in 1971, with the 31st Constitution Amendment, where earlier we had got the property is the fundamental right earlier. Thereafter, it has been amended, and it has stated, the Constitution is amended, stating that the property rights are the constitutional rights, but not fundamental rights. And your rights are being protected thoroughly, unless the state acquires your property by the authority of law. And that is how, or otherwise, we are all protected under Section 300, Article 300, capital A of the Constitution of India. Now, to your question, Madam, after the Hindu Succession Act has been amended in the year 2005, Section 6 has been introduced, and 6 speaks strictly about the equal share to all the children of the ancestral property. And Section 6 is quite clear. Apart from the rights what you have been enjoying, you are also equally liable for the liabilities for the family of Hindu undivided family. So your rights are thoroughly protected and completely protected by the Hindu Undivided Family Act under Section 6 of the Act.
Okay, thank you, sir. So you mean only in HUF you have that right?
Yes.
Otherwise, ancestral properties, if women...
Ancestral properties obviously will fall out of HUF,
Okay.
Hindu Undivided Family.
Okay.
A male's ancestral property, and the clan of that male, the family is therefore, and let us say the four generations more particularly that has been kept in the view while the architects of the particular act, and they have stated your great grandfather and your grandfather and your father and you. That is how the flow of title will fall in. Okay. And again, Section 64 subclass 2 of Income Tax Act does recognize Hindu undivided family as one of the artificial juristic person.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir. Can a married woman independently own, sell, or gift a property without needing her husband's consent?
Absolutely, yes. You all can, you are free from now to go and sell your property and acquire your property and do your best whatever you want. Yes. You don't need anybody's consent for that matter. Yes.
Is there a difference between registered and unregistered will?
Yes.
What are the legal steps for transferring the property as such?
The two aspects. Firstly, the registered will have the legal validity and the conclusive proof as per Section 3 of the Indian Evidence Act. Now, where the parties went there voluntarily and before the authority by paying the requisite fees as contemplated in the Stamps and Registration Act, that will be witnessed none other than by the registrar, who is also quasi-judicial authority. That will have more evidentiary value. Now, you may ask me, what will happen where this will did been existed by an illiterate or somewhere in the remote or in the hamlet for that matter throughout the state or for some hook and corner of the country? In those circumstances, yes, that is also valid. That cannot be ruled out that will has to be registered. No, it is not required, it's not mandatory. But when they get into a litigation, that will have more evidentiary value, and ultimately the court of law will decide upon examination of the witnesses before it, and who is right, who is not right.
So unregistered will is equally good, but it has some
subject to
nuances,
court's
subject to
decision. Yes.
Yeah. And can ancestral property be willed exclusively to one heir, disinheriting others?
No. Absolutely no. If that is there, then the Section 6 of Hindu Succession Act will be defeated.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Because sometimes we see, one heir is removed.
They
or-
they go
Yeah.
with a bit of, out of their selfishness, of the craving for property. Some literate person or some litigate in the family, and all five fingers are not equal. One will want more of the property. Somebody goes to the court and say that, look, my grandfather has gifted the entire property to me, which is ancestral property, not his own property. But cleverly, they'll document by taking clever lawyers like somebody over here, and they will say, that this draft has been done. Exclusively, he is saying that it's not an ancestral property, but his own acquired property. And that has to be debated again in the court of law. And those acts of this ill acts of the ill intended person will not hold for longer. And the courts are quite sufficiently equipped to determine these aspects. So we don't have to worry on that aspect at all.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. After marriage, what rights does a woman have in her husband's property, both ancestral and self-acquired?
She is a co-personer of the property, and she will get the equal property as that of the children of that particular person. Whosoever has acquired the property, she will have equal property as that of the all other children, unless the testator in her testament has given his undertaking that the entire property goes in favor of the wife. But again, that will subsist till the valid marriage subsists. And you cannot say that you are divorced while during the subsistence of your married life, and thereafter, after he is passed over, then come back and say, look, I have the right in my father's property. But sorry, my husband's property, that is not permitted.
Okay, yeah.
So don't go for divorces. Yes.
Sir, if a daughter has financially contributed to her parents' property, does that entitle her to a larger share?
No, absolutely no. No. And these are all my personal opinions. Don't take these are the considered settled law propositions. Yes.
And sir, you were talking about HUF, the Hindu Undivided Family. I think all the members know about it, right?
Yes.
So what is this Hindu Undivided Family from a legal perspective, and what is its relevance? You think you advise everyone to put their properties in HUF? Is it a safe-
Necessarily not.
Not.
Necessarily not. You see, you can have the benefit of both the properties and both the rights. For example, you being a business woman, and probably you must be having your independent source of income.
Yes.
Probably you are the member of the Hindu undivided family, necessarily not that your property has to be clubbed along with Hindu undivided family. And again, you must understand it very clearly, these properties have been thrown from your ancestors. Okay. There you will have the right. Not that you are clubbing your property into your undivided family. Even if you club this into undivided family, and there is a threat that you'll be losing your right to claim that property.
Okay.
And some of them, they go under 64(2) of Income Tax Act, and they would say, yes, I have got my property, I have stated, I have already given to the family, and my contribution is much than that of my other co-personer, but that will not hold any validity.
And sir, are there any tax benefits specifically for HUF?
Yes, HUF is, in the eyes of Income Tax Act, to my mind, again, it will be regarded as one artificial person, juristic person. On behalf of the juristic person, you have to file the income tax returns, and under section 80, 80G, 80C, so on and so forth, those benefits are given to the Hindu undivided family, yes.
And under what circumstances can a HUF be dissolved? And what does that
That is a very difficult
process-
question. I'll tell you why. See, unless everybody goes together and say that, yes, let us dissolve this Hindu undivided family and let us divide the properties, yes, you have to file a partition suit in the court, and then once the decree has been obtained, the Hindu undivided family can be dissolved. But all coming together and unanimously agreeing to a point, to my mind, is impossible, next to impossible.
Oh, yeah, it's quite a tough job.
Yes.
Now we go to the property laws, sir. What steps should someone take to verify that a property has a clean legal title before buying it? Because I think there's so many nuances. They keep asking us, okay, where is your bahani? Where is your sale deed? Just sale deed is not enough.
It's
and
very
we come
complicated
to,
issue, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
See, if you want to buy this, whatever, a nice property like this, probably, what you will do, you'll ask your one trained lawyer, and the trained lawyer who is well conversant with this kind of issues, and he has to go and conduct search in the revenue records, and as well as in the registration authorities, and as well as in the local laws, in the local authorities, And thereafter, they will come and give you a cheat that yes, you can go for the opinion, stating that you can go for this property. Again, the trouble where it comes, somebody comes and say that, look, the property which has been conveyed 30, 40 years ago, it has been conveyed to that person wrongly, where I am also inheritant of that property. Then the litigation might crop up. This we cannot escape in that kind of litigation under any circumstances. But still, once the legal proposition has been given to you, based on the search what has been given, you can safely go for and go and buy that property.
Okay. So do we have any checklist, sir? Because sometimes they say, okay, you got the document. Then they say, okay, get the EC, then Pahani. Sometimes even for electricity bills. I still remember one of my property, I had to go around almost 3 to 4 years because the electricity bill was pending. That was, I mean, that was something we didn't even think about it. Like, how many things do we see in that way?
No, maybe you have included this question
No
having your some
checklist, sir,
personal
for
interest, I
anybody,
guess.
one standard checklist that we can follow.
You see what happens is, it has to be scrutinized thoroughly. If I were you, I would go for the counter opinion with somebody else without knowing each other that I'm going for the opinion with other.
Okay.
Then probably then you will get the clarity. Yes, electricity bill will not confer any title on the property at all. It is not required.
Yeah.
If somebody is claiming electricity bill or so on and so forth, claiming that they are in the possession of the property, to my mind, that will not hold much of the evidence.
I know it just took some time, but yeah, we managed. Now, which laws govern property transactions in India, such as buying, selling, leasing, or mortgaging? And do they vary across states, or it's same for all over?
No, Section 26 of CPC clearly states if you have any disputes, then you have to go to the civil court itself. And the civil court will determine the matter. Honestly speaking, some of them who have been, most of them misguided, and if I have to speak to myself, they will be misguided by some of the competent lawyers, because lawyers' business has to also to run, they should also as the part of the society. What they does is, no, if you are fighting this civil litigation, this will go for 10, 100 years, don't go for it. It is a quick, short route. Go and file a writ petition in the High Court or go and file a appropriate application before the quasi-judicial authority, and we will get it done. Obviously, those who are suffering, they will say, the quickest way, instead of spending 100 rupees and spending 10 rupees over here, I'll go with this lawyer only. That had happened with me as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I have given some opinions in some cases where, honestly, I used to charge some handsome fees while I was practicing. And I used to give them honest opinion, look, your cases will go like this, step by step. Then they go to the next door lawyer. Next door lawyer will give him the quick solution, why are you doing all this? And you will not see this, the fate of your case in your lifetime. He's charging you 100 rupees, give me 10 rupees, I'll get it in the quickest way. And unfortunately, some of my clients still they are lingering in the jails without having gone by my advice. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I expect the lawyers to make a clean and neat opinion to their clients so that the law will subsist and they will ultimately see the fruits of the litigation. Yes.
Thank you, sir. So now we hear a lot about this RERA Act. And how does it protect home buyers and investors in the real estate sector? And is RERA compliance mandatory for all the builders?
No, yes, it is now. Yes, this has been enacted by the Act of the Parliament, but it is a teethless tiger, honestly. Teethless tiger, even if you keep it at your home, still it will become your pet, but it does not have any teeth at all. But still power has to be infused into RERA Act. It is also an authority, the governing authority for all the regulator for all these real estate companies, and their accounts are also being supervised by them. So, in case if a buyer, for example, or you being a builder, and in contract in between them, on the phase-wise manner, normally what we observe, on stage by stage they will be paying money to them, and their accounts have to be supervised by the RERA, and necessarily Section 3, if I am not wrong, they have to register with RERA. Unless if they do not register with RERA, and so much of penalty is being emphasized under law that has to be imposed upon that particular real estate company. Thereafter, again, the facility is being given to them. Opportunity is there. They can always get registered later part as well.
So when we are buying a property, RERA Act, if we just make
we have to verify whether this is. What will happen, ma'am? You see, the protection of the buyer. In case if it is registered, at least you have somebody to speak up for yourself. RERA will say, hey, what are you doing that, you are not abiding, but you are, whatever the obligations under your contract. And the contract is very, very important. Whenever you are getting into that, please do ask your lawyer whether the section 10 of the Indian Contract Act has been complied with or not. That consensus ad idem. That's where the entire disputes will arise. So RERA is in a way it's good into my mind. Yes.
Yeah, and we make sure that any real estate when we are going, we have to make sure that the RERA is
Yes,
in
yes,
compliance.
yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, RERA has got the power to impose 4 or 10 times penalty. I'm not sure
Okay.
on that particular builder.
Yeah. So let's go to the next one. In family run businesses, financial risks often overlap between personal and professional life. What contingency plans and legal safeguards should entrepreneurs consider to protect their families from business related liabilities?
If I were you very seriously, I would advise, don't you involve your personal property into the family run businesses where there is a risk where your properties will also get into litigation, firstly. Secondly, these family run businesses are quite good and sometimes they've been proven very successful. Let us say, for example, Ambani's or Adani's or that Birla's, Tata's, and Tata's are, of course, that's a corporate body and this does not have any face to run on by itself. But still, I would suggest there you have to be very cautious and the insurance sector will come a major role in it. And if you secure the comprehensive interest of that family run businesses, I think you are safe.
Okay, thank you, sir. Because sometimes, with COVID or suddenly global disruptions, it really affects. So we need to be a little more careful and when we, especially
That's right.
personal liability.
That's it. Again, the disputes will arise, and probably two members of the family, they'll have their difference of opinions, and ultimately the unanimous decision has to be taken. You cannot take any decision. Again, these properties of family-owned properties will go into docs. So therefore, you should be damn careful when you are putting your properties as a security to obtain loans or OD or whatsoever from the banks. Then you are at risk.
Okay, yeah. Sir, in countries like UK, there are short legal training programs designed for business owners and directors. So do you think a similar model could be beneficial in India?
Yes, it is absolutely. And right from the beginning, I've been canvassing that there should be a lesson to the students right from their school days, or else those who are there in the whatever the by and large in the country, who are ultimately now, thankfully, we are more cross 90% of literacy, and they should be taught through this legal awareness program all through.
So do we have anything as of now, sir? Or
We are in the process of this legal awareness camps have been conducted by our legal services authorities, which are in place in the districts and every Mufassil courts that and all. And we are conducting these legal services camps, but we have to see how far it is successful. I don't think that we can achieve the 100% results. The reason being is whenever we conduct these programs are being conducted mostly in the villages or in that particular locality where everybody has to come forward. Unfortunately, nobody is coming forward by taking an initiation on that, because most of them probably they may have property, may not have property. And what are they got to do with this? They will only say, well, I'll go to my lawyer or somebody and village elder, and they will decide these aspects.
Okay. But if there is something like that, then it becomes very easy for us as a businesswoman or when we are taking up serious work. So you just know the basic nuances, like things to be taken care. Like for example, now with AI tools leveraging, legal drafting and structuring, simple MOUs or transactions that we do. Are there any platforms like that can provide and help us?
I'll tell you something. There are tens of platforms or applications which are there in place. And for example, we go for Adalat AI, artificial intelligence. Seriously, if you ask me, I'm not happy with that. And most of my own, family members, I don't want to name anybody, but or relatives or friends for that matter, they'll come up, those who are particularly into software and into this kind of technology saviors, what they does is, all whole through the night, they'll be before the system, and question they'll pose, answer they'll get, and critical question they'll pose, and answer they'll get. And even if you go for chat GPT, for example, you give a case of your own case, and you'll come up with a beautiful solution.
Okay.
Then you stand up on the other side. Give your case and you will also come up with a beautiful solution. Okay. Ultimately, we'll end up in a confusion. Seriously, if you ask me.
Yeah. So what key legal precautions should entrepreneurs keep in mind while drafting business contracts and commercial agreements? And in that context, how do MOUs, agreements and contracts differ? And when should each be used? Like for
To honestly, these you have to go to a trained lawyer.
Lawyer only.
And if you are making your own application, वो बोलते हैं ना अपने पैर पे अपने कुराड़ी. Don't get into that. Seriously. Because Section 10 is quite common. Even if you Google, you'll get Section 10 of Indian Contract Act.
Yeah.
Yes, that is called consensus as item I just said just now. So there the matching of mind should be there in the contracts. Now these days, taking the loopholes of that contracts, so much of fraud has been committed, and so many cases are also pending for adjudication before the courts, unfortunately.
Okay. So, given the shortage of judges, I mean, I just want to know, and the large backlog of cases, what does a day-to-day life look for a judge, and how does this imbalance contribute to delays in delivering justice?
Madam, it's like this. In legal proceedings, the last opportunity has to be given to the last man in the line. What will happen is, in the strive of disposing the cases, I will say you all litigants before me, my matters are listed, let's say 120, 150 or 180 for that matter. I can dispose of 180 matters. Ultimately, all these cases will ultimately travel until Honorable Supreme Court, and you will end up there in the Honorable Supreme Court. That should not be the despotism of the courts to come to a conclusion. Ultimately, that is pushing the litigants in further litigations. That is improper. Our Constitution says very clearly, you will have the equal opportunity till the last in working out your remedies before the final court of authority. So, fortunately, I have to tell you, share with you all, the statistics of our own Honorable High Court of Telangana. Now, disposals are much more than the filing of cases. Now, it has been, statistical balance has been maintained from the past 1-2 years, thankfully. And we are all striving for it. And we have achieved that statistical data so far. And in other parts of the country, yes, the trial courts are also burdened. Yes, we have to increase the strength of the judges, yes.
But is there something that's happening about it, sir?
Yes. And thankfully, now we are in the regular process of recruitment, and we are training them, and it's a continuous process. We are in that process. Okay. And old cases have been identified specifically as a specially identified matters, and we are handling them.
So is there any cutoff date, sir, for especially property litigation?
I don't think there is any cutoff date, but yes, we have to identify, apply our judicious mind. If there is any cutoff date, and you are gone.
Okay. Because, 1 year, 2 years, sometimes the cases go on for ages. So it's like, sometimes people get scared to even go to the court. They'd like to say, okay, let's settle it here only rather than go, because it takes such a long
time. And we have got alternative dispute resolution also. ADRs are there in the place. Mediation is also being permitted by law. And arbitration is also there. So whatever you choose to, you have to go. If I have to advise you, I have to advise you to go to a right lawyer.
Okay. And so the representation of women in the higher judiciary remains very low. For instance, I think there's just one woman judge among more than 30 in the Supreme Court. And what do you see as a main barrier, and how can this imbalance be addressed?
2 examples I would like to place. Firstly, in our own Telangana, for that matter in the Rajasthan as well, now our lower court judges, magistrates, are more than 70% they are already working. So they have outnumbered the male judges, okay. Firstly. Okay. Secondly, there was an oath ceremony taken up in the Supreme Court, if I'm not mistaken, in the year 2021, where 4 judges have taken oath. Amongst them, 3 of them are women.
Oh, that's nice, because we've taken the census from the Google.
Yes.
And
so, yeah. Don't blame male persons.
Yeah. And so what are fast-track courts? We'd like to know more about it, and what type of cases qualify to be heard in fast-track courts. And is there any process for individuals to get their cases admitted there?
No, I'll give a small example. You see, and apart, this, the traffic violations, okay. And let us say these kind of drunken driving cases and all, that apart, which are being highly negligible, which will ultimately end up in penalties and all. When you come to, unfortunately, the POSCO cases, just now, madam, thankfully I could able to also hear her, and I could able to also get so much of insight to myself, where unfortunately, those cases are on rise. Ultimately, the Act contemplates you have to conduct the trial and give judgment within a period of 1 year. Now, quite recently, the Honorable Supreme Court has given a judgment, that is, if I'm not wrong, in Preeti versus Uttar Pradesh case, and High Court has to conclude the cases within a period of 6 months. As you said, the cutoff date, that and all. And the Honorable Supreme Court has stated, if example, if some matter is before me, if I'm unable to decide within 3 months, then you transfer this matter to some other judge. And they have to give some top priority. Because the poor victims who have been affected by this kind of atrocity, and the offender should not go free. I'll tell you one other example, if I'm not wrong, that there's a district by name Adnur in Kerala. What had happened, I'll take 2 more minutes, I'm really worried because I've seen your program chat and you gave me first 7 minutes, thereafter only 15 minutes. Then I thought what I will do within this 15 plus 7, 22 minutes. So ultimately, in that Adnur district, what had happened? A POSCO case has been registered. How POSCO case has been registered, I'll tell you. A young girl of 8.5 years old, and she was witnessing the atrocities committed by one this offender by name Mr. Vinod. And the atrocities have also been committed on this girl, the molestation rather. So what had happened was, she was going through her textbooks. There she has read a text and the quote by our father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, where he has stated, "Don't lie to anybody." From there she got inspired a lot. Then she has garnered guts by herself and lodged a complaint. Quickly, the matter was decided within no time, and a judge whom I really respect, a district judge in my highest esteem, and he has given the punishment of 20 years each for under 5 different sections to that offender. That means ultimately he has to linger in the court for 100 long years. That's a beautiful judgment he has given. Even I got inspired with that kind of judgment. So basically these kind of offenses which have to be seen very seriously are being looked into seriously, not only by the acts but also by the courts.
Any case, sir, you would like to share some examples from your journey and something that you feel is connected to women? You'd like to tell us anything about it, sir? Or
No, this is very crazy question.
Okay.
If this goes around, then my other clients will come and curse me while I was into practice.
Or maybe, sir, especially in, you've been hearing so many cases. Sometimes your judgment, when you are giving a judgment, did you feel like...
Just now I was chatting with one of your legal counsel.
Yeah.
And where it says, the mandate of law describes, let us say if somebody maybe let us say a dreaded criminal. Now the law prescribes that police cannot detain him beyond 24 hours. Suppose if he's been detained beyond 24, sometimes police comes with lame excuses and would say, no, we have detained him not more than 24 years. Today at 5 o'clock, today in the evening at 5 o'clock, we had detained him. Due to heavy rush and traffic congestions, that and all, we could not produce him exactly before 5 o'clock, but I produced him at 5 o'clock, 5 minutes. Apparently, it appears very quite convincing to all of us because he's such a dreaded criminal and he must have committed 10 murders or 20 murders, that and all. But law is very strong. Madam, you must understand, the constitution of this country, and we are the largest democracy of the country, and we have given utmost importance to Article 14, that is equality before law, to anybody for that matter, whosoever it is. Under those circumstances, then the remand is illegal and they have to set free forthwith. That sort of judgment quite recently I have given. I think I was sharing with one of your colleague, and that is also reported judgment. So this kind of law has to be scrupulously followed. Otherwise, what will happen is the police atrocities should not happen, come what may. And we have been seeing so many cases in and around, and probably you all are reading the newspapers and here and there. Most of these cases are filed against the state and the police for their excesses. And no one, the citizen of this country, should be illegally detained, come what may.
But so, one more small doubt I had. Law is equal for everyone, but we have different laws for different, like, Muslim law is sometimes different. They have different rules and regulations. I mean, from a Hindu family. And
Sorry?
From a Hindu to, law, I mean, I'm not able to...
No. Irrespective of local laws, the Section 6 of Hindu Undivided Succession Act clearly states, that even if whatever your local laws describe, for example, there are some notified tribal areas where they say the properties has to be transferred in between the tribals itself, for example.
Okay.
Right? So, but Hindu Succession Acts does prevail in those areas as well, irrespective of whatever the corporate or the local laws prescribe.
Okay. Sir, one thing is, as a business owner, what would you say are the 5 most important legal essentials every women entrepreneur and citizen here today should keep in mind to safeguard their businesses? Are there any basic agenda, 5 things you have to keep vigilant about before you start your business, before you do something? What kind of
If you get into, you are all into business, probably you all know about this corporate law and company law,
Yeah.
where you go to your chartered accountant and tell your chartered accountant, look, I want to start this,
Yes.
my business, XYZ, whatever it is, a garment business for the matter. He will say, all right, then give me the names, probable names. Then he will search for the names and he'll register your company with the register of companies,
Yes.
so on and so forth, with your articles of association or memorandum of articles, whatsoever you call it. Then you should be damn careful on that aspect, whether your memorandum of articles or, for that matter, your articles of association have been described, have been clearly earmarked, and you should reach word to word and see that any loophole in that particular memorandum of articles, for example, they will say, in an exigency conditions, the one who is in charge of in charge of the affairs of the company can take the authority into his hands and sell off the property to somebody else or the company. And if that sort of clauses are there in the articles of association, you are gone for good. Firstly, you should be very, very damn careful. You being a entrepreneur women, you don't mind much in applying your mind, and you will say this chartered accountant is good, he's got a very good name and famous name, that and all, chalo kya karna hai? We'll also sign in that and let us get into that. But cleverly those articles of associations have been drafted. So you please be careful on those 2 aspects. Secondly, whether the balance sheets, whatever has been filed before the register of companies, or for that matter, in income tax returns, whatever you have filed, whether they does match with each other or not, you'll have to be damn careful. Thirdly, the power which has been vested with the in charge of the company is being completely or thoroughly scrutinized or not. And fourthly, you have to see that every 5 years you have to appoint a forensic auditor to the company. If the forensic auditor completely goes into the audit of the company thoroughly, so many, like audit is audit, but don't go for audit, but go for a forensic auditor who are much more trained, and then they will bring you so many lights where some fraud has been happened in the company, or for that matter, even the fraud has not been happened, but still, at least he will give you the light on what's going on in your company, if something is going good or something going bad. What had happened in Priyamvada Birla's case, perhaps you all know. Right, a chartered account, ultimately that old lady, the chartered account claims after her death that will has been given in my favor. If I'm not wrong, that Rajendra or somebody. And now, if I don't know, I mean, to my information, so much of properties are still vested with that gentleman. Late part he died, of course, but still. So these kind of, fraud may happen, or may occur. So every on and off, periodically you will have to keep a check on your company. You may have a lot of trust. Perhaps your own son is your accountant, or perhaps your own daughter-in-law is the charge of affairs of the company, that and all. But still, the statutory authorities, those who are well-versed technically, you have to take the help of them. Normally, what we does is, अरे क्या करना है उसको 50-100 रुपए क्यों देना है, अपने आप चला लेंगे ये. That is no good. If you seriously ask me.
Yeah. Thank you, sir, for that insightful session. And we'll open the session for everyone for questions, please.
But madam, tell me something which I could not understand. I mean, frankly,
Please.
don't mind. Huh? What made you to directly get into business without having a proper introduction, this, that, and all? At least thoda bahut to hota hai na? Nothing.
Please.
Yes, madam.
I'll open the floor to questions now. Thank you, sir, for an insightful session. Can I request the events team to please pass the mics?
Sir, it was a nice session to know about everything. I want to know, like HUF shares and normal shares. What is the difference between both the shares? A person having both the shares and majority shareholder. So does he have the power of that?
There are two aspects.
Yeah.
Firstly, you are the co-personer of the property, being the member of the HUF, isn't it? The section 6 of the Act gives you the right, equal right as that of all co-personers. Then probably you will have your share, whatsoever the chapter 1 is described over there. Now, as a normal shares in the property of the self-acquired property, as I was referring to in one of her questions, where you are completely individual and you can have your own self-acquired property, unless there is an understanding between all the members of HUF stating that we all will contribute to the family and that and all. But somebody does obviously fraud on the back. They won't disclose you. They'll go and deposit the money in the name of his own brother-in-law. That and all. That fraud is also going on. So be cautious what you are into. So these two shares run independently. Cannot be clubbed together unless it has been clubbed with your own consent.
Thank you, sir. Wonderful insights today. My question is, if the ancestral property, in this case, if the mother inherits it, and she's not, what will be the rights of her children if she has a daughter and a son, but she is not very keen to divide it equally? So will the daughter not have any rights?
No, they will have right. As per Hindu Succession Act, certainly they will also have right because the property has been flown from the ancestors. Try to understand. Everybody will have to get their bread. Sorry. They will have their own slice of bread.
Okay, that means even if it came from her father, if the woman inherits it, if she doesn't want to give food to her daughter, and can she do that?
She cannot.
Okay.
What will happen is, unless the testator has given a testament, that means the father sees self-acquired property, he will say through a will stating that I am giving my entire property in favor of my wife.
But this is ancestral property.
Ancestral property is cannot.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Sir.
I'll suggest you a good lawyer, go to him.
Sir, good afternoon.
Yes.
We were talking about all property documents, Pahani and passbook and all that. So there's a lot of stumbling blocks in getting those documents. You know, the MRO or the person
Unfortunately,
in charge.
that's happening, madam. So,
Sir, उसका क्या इलाज है? कुछ extra judicial authority है?
नहीं, आपको जाना है वो RTA Act पे. RTA Act is there. Unless if you are not given any permission or the information what you sought under RTA Act, unless it is barred under Section 8D, then they have to
cannot
give you
refuse.
the information within 30 days.
So
If they don't.
So for implementation of that, which court should I approach?
अभी क्या हो रहा है मैडम आप देखिए. So don't get into that. I mean, if you personally ask me advice, you आप बहुत बड़ा डॉक्टर है उसमें रह जाओ. But still I'll tell you. You see what will happen is somebody comes, which I am also handling honestly. Somebody comes and say that in 1980 or 1954-55, my great grandfather's name was subsisting, and I am the legal owner of that property. His name continued under till 2021. Thereafter, my name is absent. They again come in the year 2025 and say that there's a fraud happened in connivance with the authorities and also the other whosoever are there in the position of the property. Now kindly clear my case. What one has to do? Tell me. Under those circumstances, what will happen is they may not be having the information thereafter what had happened. One's case cannot be absent. Probably one case may be absent in some instances, but in all the instances. In those circumstances, you have to go and apply necessary application under RTI and obtain it through them. Probably this is a tiresome process. Honestly, I agree with you that going to the MRO office and asking them, not getting an audience with them, and somebody they are quite busy in their own affairs. So that is a very pathetic situation. But yes, you have the other option, going to a search option in the registration offices, where now the Tahsildars have been given powers, and go and make a search of your own case and appoint somebody, a good lawyer, with whosoever is affordable to you, and take out that information, then you will understand the truth. Otherwise, what will happen is, it can't be that huge gap. Again, there is a limitation act in place in our country, where within that period of limitation, if you have any grievance, then you have to go and file your grievance before the authority. For example, a Tahsildar gives an order under Section 5 earlier in the old RO Act. Under 5, if Tahsildar gives an order which is not convincing to you, and if you're agreed with that order, Section 9 contemplates, again you have to file an appeal before the RDO within a period of 60 days. What will happen is, otherwise, if you do not follow, if you don't put a full stop for all these things, all the cases will be piled up, one after the other. So ultimately, they will end up in resolving these issues only by giving them the proper reply, explanation as to what had happened to your flow of title thereafter. So I would sincerely suggest you, if you are being into any sort of, this kind of issues, better you make an application under RTI and get the information. If you're agreed so, then you can go to the court of law at a later part, or appoint somebody who's really experienced into these kind of affairs. These days, what will happen is somebody will say, yes, I'm getting you this order, this and all. So don't fall into that prey at all. So identify the proper person, whosoever the lawyer it is, and go with him, or you can file your application on your own. This is not necessary that you have to go with a lawyer.
Sir, one more doubt, I'll just take it. As doctors, if we are not trained in something, we are not allowed to put up a board. Like if I'm not trained in infertility, I cannot practice. If I'm not trained in robotic surgery, I can't practice. It's not medico-legally right. Do you have something like that for lawyers? They put board, they do everything.
No.
So,
No, I'll tell
so
you.
वो कैसे पहचानना सर कि ये बंदा हमने जो चुना है वो सही है या वो भी हमको ऐसे ऐसे घुमा रहा है, उसका क्या इलाज है?
नहीं, उनका भी रेगुलेटर होता है, ये बार काउंसिल होती है। बार काउंसिल में जाके आप उसको उनके खिलाफ कोई दरख्वास्त दाखिल कर सकते हैं। दाखिल करने के बाद फिर वो लोग उनसे एक्सप्लेनेशन मांगेंगे। फर्स्टली, अगर डॉक्टर्स का किसी का बोर्ड कहाँ नहीं है ये बताइए मुझे पहले। आप कहीं भी जाइए, डॉक्टर्स का बोर्ड ही दिखाई देता है कहीं भी जो है। बड़ा हॉस्पिटल्स आ गए, अब यहाँ से थोड़ा आगे जाइए, वहाँ पर आरएटी हॉस्पिटल है, वो हॉस्पिटल है, ये हॉस्पिटल है, सारे बोर्ड है। दे आर लिटरली इन्वाइटिंग द पेशेंट्स विद रेड कार्पेट वेलकम। मैं चाहता हूँ कोई हॉस्पिटल ना जाए।
No, sir, we are terribly controlled by the Medico-Legal Act. We are internally, all of us are aware of it, and we don't go beyond our caliber or our qualification.
Madam, unfortunately, I'll tell you, there are so many hospitals which are in operation in the rural part of this country, where no permission has been granted by the DM and HO and granting the license to conduct the clinics or hospitals for that matter. So who is the whistleblower here? Somebody has to wake up to the situation, then they have to make a complaint to that extent. So ये बोर्ड अभी जो लगाते हैं, अगर आप दोनों का है, आप तो गैनेकोलॉजिस्ट है ही है, अगर मान लीजिए मैं भी गैनेकोलॉजिस्ट हूँ, दोनों का आजू बाजू का प्रैक्टिस चल रहा है, फिर आपको तो डाउन करना ही करना है, वो तो बड़ा डॉक्टर है, मैं क्या करूँगा? आपके ऊपर 10 दरकार कंप्लेंट दाखिल करूँगा तो आप फिर उधर घूमते रह जाएंगे, मेरा प्रैक्टिस अच्छा चलेगी।
Nice, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Insightful session, sir. Can you throw some light on Sridhan? Sridhan.
Sridhan, I think it's I think Sridhan is what your parents did.
No. See, I'll tell you. That has gone long back. See, here we call it in the marriage, we have given her Paspu Kunkuma property, and I've got 10 acres of property. Out of that, I have given 2-3 acres to my daughter, and 10 minus 3, and I got 7 acres of land. So my daughter does not have any claim. I won't say that. My own son will come and say that, no, she doesn't deserve anything, and she has gone into other family. Later, she's leading her own family, this, that, and all. But that is absolutely wrong. Section 6, again I am telling you, the Hindu Succession Act is completely in your favor. Go and claim it. After I retire, I'll become your lawyer. Yes.
Oh. So she can come and claim, sir?
Huh?
She can claim?
Of course, yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Huh?
We've been discussing, are there separate kind of rules for maternal side of ancestral property and paternal, like
Separate?
father's ancestral property and mother's side ancestral property, or they are treated equally?
It's a very good question, I'll tell you. You see, as far as Hindu Succession Act is concerned, your mother, she is the co-personer of the property belonging to her Hindu, whatever the property. Then, again, your father is also one of the co-person that property. You can claim both. Being the daughter, yes. Huh? Equal amount. Whatever your share entitlement, I won't say equal amount, whatever your entitlement is there. Yes.
Good evening, Justice E.V. Venugopal garu. In a democracy where people's rights should be protected, how is it fair that property owners lose their land under eminent domain by organizations like GHMC, especially when the government pays only about 1/4 the real market value? Doesn't it cause loss to the
Madam,
landowners?
the law prescribes Land Acquisition Act for the public safety and for public use. Now the authority is vested with the government, and governments are elected governments, and they have to see the governance is being done in the keeping in view of the public safety at all. If you lose your property, but all of us are benefited through your property, and reasonable compensation is being given to you. In case if you're not satisfied that there's a certain tribunals which have been constituted. For example, if if you have been given rupees 10 for a square yard, then the tribunal will give you 20 rupees. For that matter, your property is, let's say, 50 rupees. Then again you come to us. We'll say, all right, to take 30 rupees and, put a quietus to the litigation. Because public safety is the paramount importance. We can't help it. Unfortunately, your land is falling in that area.
The thing is, GHMC offers something called TDR, which is like not of much value. So can we go approach the court, ask for a fair compensation?
That's what I'm telling you. You see, you can go to some tribunal is there. For every property, these land acquisition tribunals are being constituted. You have to go to the tribunals, and the tribunal will look at, what will happen is generally the calculation is like this. So what is the current market value? What is the current market value 3 years ago? And in the 3 years ago, what were the documents pertaining to that survey number which has been exchanged in between the parties? And what was lying in your property? Let's say, yes, some building is lying in your property, some trees are lying in your property, or you've been getting some rents in that property. Yes. These and all will be taken into consideration. But surely you won't get the market price what is prevalent, because there is a vast difference between the market price and that circle rate, like the RTO,
so the building also, the structure also will be compensated.
So, but you'll have to keep quiet some time.
Yes. If it's fairly compensated, it makes sense.
Fair Compensation Act is also there, but ultimately, what will happen is when you go for registration, if you have to put a question to myself or to yourself, how fair we are to the Indian laws. Yes. For example, you sell a property, the property probably the value is 100 rupees. What you will do is you will only disclose 50 rupees. 50 rupees you will take it from your under the table, isn't it? Yes. That's what is happening. So the system is such. And when you want the property, when your property is acquired, you want that 100 rupees again. Yes. And how can you be fair to yourself? Understood. Isn't it? That's what normally the proposition of law, that's what it is been implemented.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Venugopal garu. I think the session was really engaging, and we truly appreciate your sense of humor as well.
Thank you.
And one question I had is, nowadays, like we have, a situation in the family where the kids also have foreign citizenship, like, the kids may be born in US and they have a US, citizenship. How do you, or what needs to be taken care with respect to passing on the ancestral property rights to the kids in that situation?
Even if they are the citizens of the foreign country, and those citizenship is by naturalization. Try to understand. Now, when this citizenship is by naturalization, they will have the right over here because they have become co-personal by birth.
Okay. So the same laws apply?
Of course, yes. Yes.
Great. Thank you.
How much property you have?
She's a venture capitalist.
Yeah, she's a venture capitalist.
You are a venture capitalist?
Yeah.
Oh, great. So, wonderful. You've been infusing funds into the companies. Oh, wonderful.
Sir, yes, sir. Namaste, sir. Sir, I'm Arun Kumar Jaiswal Advocate, and just I would like to tell all my sisters and daughters that Sir's, Honorable Justice Sir's, every second is so precious, and he had taken out the time to talk to all so, by his heart out, and really congratulations to the chairperson, Honorable Chairperson Pratibha Kunda, and the entire team, because this is how valuable is because I see the code, so I understand it. Sir's every second is very valuable, and this much of time, what he has contributed is really it's a blessing and it's a gift to everybody. Thank you
so much, sir. Don't tell me that you have matter before me.
No, thank you. Sir.
Is sir as humorous as he's here in the court also? Yes?
Sir is, when he is here, he's so, means like us only, he behaves very normal like. But when he's on his honorable chair, sir is a only court, honorable court, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. On behalf of Law Hyderabad, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our guest speaker, Justice Shri E.V. Venugopal, for gracing us with his presence and for answering all our questions in detail. A warm thank you to IPS Charu Sinha for throwing light on the POSH Act. She had to leave. She's not here with us. Thanks to our venue partners, T-Hub, for this beautiful place. And thank you to the events team for all the coordination and setup. Finally, to all of you members who joined us today. Thank you so much. Please join us for high tea.
Ma'am, lastly, may I make a small request? Don't think that I have come here just simply to come and address you because I know her very closely and have high estimate of respect for her. I have got two selfish reasons. Let me also disclose that. The first one is, I'm very much happy that when Madam told me that, Madam and all, of course, Radhika and all, so something cropped up, selfish man within myself has cropped up and said, yes, these are all very interesting women entrepreneurs. So long as they get their rightful encouragement or in their entrepreneurial skills, that and all, and when they've been encouraged in that aspect, then they can do wonders. I'll tell you one aspect. Once you do wonders, you are becoming indirectly or directly the biggest contribution to our economy. Our country is the 5th largest economy in the world as of now, and we are fastly running to become the superpower in the world. And thank you one and all for becoming entrepreneurs. As you know, now what is happening in this GST 2.0, that and all, ultimately you will have to take benefit of that and see that the money is being circulated in the society. And money is being stagnated in one place, and thankfully when the money was stagnated, when the economic crisis, what we have really faced in 1991 and 2008, at that point of time, only women folk, where they saved their money and they have stood up there on their legs and they have contributed for this country a lot, and because of their contribution, this country has saved out of the recession. Thank you one and all for becoming that, and wish that we look forward, these women entrepreneurs in this country will stand up to the race to the occasion and see that India stands the best in the world. Thank you one and all. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll take a picture from this. Yeah. Yeah. I think we will go down, Jay.
Here, please, sir. So just a second, one more, please. Just a second. Can you have a huge round of applause for this, sir, please?